There's a line that everybody knows who's a Star Wars fan. That line is when Obi-Wan says, "That's no moon, it's a space station." And the reason why I bring up this line from Star Wars, which today we call Episode 4, A New Hope, but as I talked about in a prior video, a part of me, in fact, maybe the most significant part of me, always just thinks of it as Star Wars and thinks of it as a self-contained story in and of itself, without any sequels, without any prequels, without George Lucas selling the whole franchise for billions of dollars to Disney, uh, to so that it can be in the state that it is now. But it just exists as itself, as Star Wars, not Episode 4 A New Hope, but Star Wars. Anyway, you can hear me talk about that in a prior video, but in this video, I bring up that quote from Star Wars because a new movie called Moonfall, which is by Roland Emmerich, who does all the gaudy, ostentatious disaster movies that you can think of. Uh, either about environmental disasters or about aliens or about aliens invading or about, I don't know, massive earthquakes and uh, just crazy shit happening and threatening the world, threatening extinction. So he his latest work is something called Moonfall. Now, I would not say that Moonfall is a good movie. I would not at all say that. It's interesting though, because there's I'm not going to say it's revelation of the method, because I don't know if I doubt what's being revealed in the movie is the truth per se. But it is interesting that we have this movie that was made with a huge Hollywood budget, uh, with tons of special effects, not with an all-star cast, but with some recognizable actors, and uh, and with it seems that this movie was also made with the cooperation of NASA. NASA is referred to explicitly. You see NASA badges. You see NASA on people's astronaut suits. They eventually roll out the Space Shuttle Endeavour, which I don't know which one that was. I'm not up on my Space Shuttle history. I do. I think that it was named after a Star Trek ship, if I'm not mistaken. But beyond that, I'm not geeky enough to know anything beyond that. I'm geeky enough to know that much, but not much beyond that. So, so they have the actual Space Shuttle Endeavour, with Endeavour written on its hull. They have NASA people talking about NASA, referring to NASA, wearing NASA shirts, wearing NASA badges. So clearly NASA is in on the deal here. You also have SpaceX mentioned, but of course, one character asks himself, what would Elon do? He actually says that. What would Elon do? Instead of what would Jesus do? Uh, Now I know that we could just see that as like a funny thing that this guy who's obsessed with Elon Musk he would say something like that. He would put Elon Musk in the place of Jesus Christ. Um, but at the same time, it's I don't think we can ignore the context in which that comment is uttered. Um, so this is an official Hollywood movie, and it has official backing from NASA and SpaceX. And yet, the premise of this movie is so out there. It's incredible. This is a movie in which um, I'm not going to go into the whole convoluted plot, and there's always with these kinds of movies, there's always some really convoluted plot about how disasters threatens our earthly extinction, and it's not really so important to talk that much about the specifics of the plot. But what is interesting to note is that in the movie, and uh, this isn't really that much of a spoiler, uh, so I don't know if you really want to see this movie. Again, it's not like, oh my gosh, it's the new Lawrence of Arabia or anything like that. But if you really want to see this movie and don't want to know anything about it, then of course don't. You can push stop now. But I'm not going to give away any big time spoilers. But the big reveal in the movie is that the moon, in the words of David Icke, is not what you think it is. The moon is not what we think it is. Uh, Now, in the movie, the moon has inexplicably uh, been uh, changed its orbit. So now it's coming closer and closer to the Earth, and there's some alien entity on the moon that's causing this to happen. Uh, but the important thing is when the heroes go on their desperate journey to try to save humanity, they enter the moon, and the moon turns out the moon is hollow. And even more than that, it turns out that in the center of the moon is we see that it is an artificial construct. That's right. The moon is an artifice. It is artificiality. It was constructed a long, long time ago, and eventually the captain of this ship finds out by some intelligence that's being communicated to him by the machinery on the moon. It's not exactly clear what all of this is. There's a lot of really convoluted things in this movie anyway. But the important thing is that the moon was built by humanity's ancestors and our progenitors. That all this stuff happened, millions and millions of years ago, and there's a little bit of a Scientology sheen, if you know about the Scientology backstory, uh, what all happened with supposedly with the Thetans, and in this case, though, it's excuse me, it's the much more artificial, it's the much more ordinary uh, AI gone awry story, which is just, as I've said before, I've never been all that. I've never found it all that credible. I still don't. But my main thing is this: why are they making this movie? In the midst of there having been talk over the last couple of years, at least, there having increasingly been talk about aliens, alien life, and UFOs that they've renamed UAPs. Is it UAPs? Unofficial. I can't remember. I can't remember the. Anyway, they made an effort to change the terminology. They're not UFOs anymore. They're AFPs. I don't know. It's pretty stupid though. Whatever it stands for. Um, but it means about the same thing. Anyway, we've had all this talk, even in unofficial channels. There's been talk about, we should really worry about alien technology. That there are life forms out there. There are. This is something that mainstream. That they're selling on the mainstream now, or in the mainstream now. It's not just fringe publications talking about this stuff. Uh, this was on 60 Minutes. This was in the New York Times, and plenty of other places. Um, Richard Elizondo and a few other, again, mainstream. Richard Elizondo, who's a CIA worker who claims to be a maverick, but there's some doubt about his mavricity. Um, Anyhow, there's been lots of talk, lots of hyping up of the possibility of alien stuff. There's been an alien op, and there's also been a Mars op. There's been a Mars op, big time, with Elon Musk and lots of uh, specials about Mars and traveling to Mars and living on Mars. It's just, if you look around at media, it's in a lot of places now. So, in the midst of all of this stuff going on, you have this, I guess, somewhat blockbuster movie. They don't. It's not the block. You don't release blockbuster movies in February. So I don't know if it's exactly a huge blockbuster movie, but still a a significantly budgeted Hollywood sci-fi movie with, again, with the seeming blessing of NASA and SpaceX, because they don't let you make references to them in movies unless they give their stamp of approval. It's just like with every branch of the armed forces. If you see the Army referred to in a movie, they have power over how the Army gets depicted in that movie, and so same with every alphabet organization. If there's a movie that makes reference to the FBI, where you see people going around with FBI jackets and so forth, then if that means the FBI had heavy input into, and maybe even had what do they call it, veto power. I'm guessing over what how things are presented. So why is it in their interest to make this movie, this movie from official sources that shows this crackpot, what's most would call a crackpot theory about the moon, to be real, to be actual, that the moon is actually a space station, just like Obi-Wan said. It's been a space station this whole time, that we thought it was just a big rock up there, orbiting the planet and controlling the tides and whatnot. So I'm left a little befuddled, and intrigued. It's sort of like last year, and I believe I talk about this in another video maybe that I recorded last year, in the movie Godzilla versus King Kong, or King Kong versus Godzilla, whatever it was called. There's a reference to Hollow Earth. Hollow Earth is asserted to be real. The Hollow Earth theory is asserted to be real. Now, I don't know, why do they do things like that? I think that when things are a part of a big budget Hollywood movie, and that they have the official stamp of approval of uh, you know, American governmental institutions and private institutions that work closely with the government, like SpaceX. Uh, I don't think anything is accidental. I don't think they just let it get up. They don't just let things get put out there and just willy nilly and not really caring what's being shown. So why this movie about the moon? Why this movie about the moon? You know, almost being this cosmic disaster, but then also finding out that the moon is where it is a space station, and that it was built by our progenitors from millions and millions of years ago. I mean, it's just so crazy, so out there. So anyone else who has seen this movie or who has thoughts about it, please leave your comment below. I would definitely be interested to hear what anyone would have to say about this. Thanks for watching. My name's Andy Nowicki. Please check out my work at altrightnovelist.com. My latest book, The Insurrectionist, can be purchased at terrorhousepress.com.